So before I, get into what I wanted to talk about, I want to say this. I do give spiritual consultations. Now I want you to listen very carefully what that entails. Spiritual consultations are not readings. Don't hit me up if you're looking for a reading. I don't do readings anymore. Readings are too, I can do them and I can do them very motherfucking well, but I don't like to. I do consultations, okay? Spiritual consultations, and I'm more geared towards giving consultations to gay black men, bisexual black men, straight black men, DL black men, whatever. Because a lot of people, let me say this too, and I might make a video about that eventually because people don't really understand. And I don't, I'm not trying to degrade anybody, but the DL is actually a science. There's a science behind that. Oh, yeah, the DL, what people call men creeping around with other men. I might talk a little bit about that in this video too. But if you want a consultation, you have to hit me up on my Patreon. Follow me on Patreon, and then I'll know that you're serious. That's the only way you will be able to get a consultation from me. A consultation is an opportunity for you to ask me questions, not about your future, not if I see this or I see that. That is not a consultation, that is a reading. If you want a consultation, it's for an hour. It's for an hour. And if I have to talk to you more than an hour, then you have to pay. If you know that you want to talk to me more than an hour, then you're going to have to pay me double. My energy is not for free. It's not for free. So, with that being said, and it's not even about the money, it's just the fact that if you want something from me, then you have to pay me for my services. Simple as that. But the main thing is giving you the information that you can use to help you out to do whatever you want to do. I don't have a problem with that. And I'm not going to rush you when I'm doing a consultation with you. So if it spills over and if I actually enjoy talking to you and it happens to spill over into more of an hour than an hour, then cool. I ain't got no problem with that. But if I have to listen to all of your problems and all of this and all of that, then you're going to have to pay me more than just the regular price. If I have to talk to you more than an hour, that's more than fair. But they are an hour, and I'm going to keep them under an hour. Okay? So if you want a consultation, that is an opportunity for you to ask me questions on how you can become God, not how you can become a follower. I don't need no motherfucking followers. Not how you can become, a fan. I don't need no motherfucking fans. Okay? I don't like that. That shit is kind of creepy to me. Okay? Do not hold me to high esteem. Okay? Hold yourself to high esteem because guess what, motherfuckers? I will disappoint you. I will disappoint you because I'm not perfect. Okay? I'm all about self transformation and transforming myself. And if someone else can resonate with that, and if I can give you some information to help you do what you need to do, then I'm all for that. But I'm not on here for no bullshit. I just want to say that. And let me be clear, I'm not talking about anybody at all. I'm not talking about anybody particular at all. I'm just saying that in general, for those people who have never gotten a consultation with me, a consultation is for you to ask me questions about spiritual stuff. Not for you to ask me questions about is this going to happen to you or is that going to happen to you or whatever the case may be. Consultations are for you to ask me questions about spiritual stuff that may be going on with you and what direction you may need to take to help yourself. That is what a consultation is. It is not a reading. So if you want a consultation with me, hit me up on my Patreon. I will drop the link. Follow me on Patreon, and then we can go from there. That way I know you fucking serious about your work or whatever. I only want to speak to gods. If you are someone who subscribes to religion, if you are someone who thinks that energies and gods are outside of yourself, then I don't want to fucking talk to you. I'm not here to convince you. You have to convince yourself. Okay? So I only want to speak to gods. Those are the only people that I want to speak to, gods who are about self-transformation and transforming themselves. That's it. If you're about being somebody's follower, if you're about being somebody's servant, and if you're about thinking that this God is after you and this God is mad at you and that God is mad at you, don't message me. I don't deal with that bullshit. Okay, I don't deal with that bullshit. There are plenty of other spiritualists online who deal with that. I don't even like calling myself a spiritualist because I'm really not a spiritualist. I'm an occultist. I'm an occultist and I'm a deity in my own motherfucking right. Okay? So I just wanted to say that in case anybody wanted a spiritual consultation, you know. And don't let the cursing scare you off. You feel what I'm saying? That's just, how I talk. But if you contact me and you want a consultation, we can go from there. But you will pay me. You will pay me. And there are no refunds once you pay. That's it. Okay? And listen, if you've been to other spiritualists and you think that I'm going to tell you something different than they are, I will be able to pick up on that. If you've been to other spiritualists, don't come over here to me trying to get me to go against them. Go back to that spiritualist and you make motherfucking, amends with them. I'm not here to bash no other motherfucking spiritualists and tell them what they shouldn't do. And like I said, I'm an occultist. I don't deal with that low vibrational petty shit. All of that shit spiritual, that's European bullshit. I'm not into that. Okay. So I just wanted to say that. Hit me up on my Patreon, the Occult View on Patreon. Follow me, and then you can contact me on there if you want a spiritual consultation. Now, what I wanted to talk about was self-transformation and really expanding your consciousness and how the process of that can be very, very difficult at times, especially if you're doing it the right way. Here lately, I have been feeling a little odd. You know what I mean? A little odd. That's how I will describe it. And the thoughts that were running through my mind, let's just say they weren't very pleasant. But then I began to realize what I have been doing. I have been connecting with my subconscious mind. And I've been creating my own symbols because I have my own symbols that connect with my subconscious mind. You feel what I'm saying? I have my own symbols that I create for myself. I don't copy nobody else's symbols. And if I do copy a symbol, I will then not copy it, but what I will do is I will add to that symbol and make it my own. And that is how I communicate with my subconscious mind. I had a really, really powerful revelation last night when I dreamed. You know what I'm saying? Very powerful revelations came through last night when I was dreaming. A lot of spirits were communicating with me. And one spirit in particular that was communicating with me, I will not name it, was somebody that I had a very close, intimate relationship with, a long time ago, who transitioned some years back. What I'm dealing with, this is what I realized I'm dealing with. The odd feeling that I have been feeling is my conscious mind, the ego, fighting back against me, expanding my consciousness, and against me tapping into my subconscious mind. Because, see, that is what the ego does. The ego does not like instability in its existence because your ego is really like a totally different entity. And its job is to keep you grounded in the physical world. So if the ego's job is to keep you grounded in the physical world, if you are doing work to transform yourself spiritually, and if you're doing work to tap into your quantum self, which is your subconscious mind, then it would make sense that the ego would throw things at you like anxiety, fear. Oh, you better not do that because if you do that, and see, the ego is so fucking clever because what it will do, it will pull stuff from your motherfucking past to throw at you. It will pull, it will dig deep because the ego is all about survival. And the ego does not want to share. The ego is a bitch. It doesn't want to share existence with the subconscious mind. See, the ego, for a lot of us, the ego has been in control for, I'm going to say millennia, probably longer than that, you know. But the ego has been in control for so long. And now, when you start doing, spiritual work, and when you start self transforming on a quantum level, the quantum world is the world of the real. Okay. And I like to think of it like this: the Kalipov is the feminine energy, the quantum world is the masculine energy. They got together and fucked, made the astral realm. Okay. And then the earth was born out of the astral realm, if you want to think of it that way. So the earth is the grandchild of the quantum and the Kalipov, because the Kalipov, from what I understand, is the dark side of the tree of life. That is where you find all of your hidden shit, all of the hidden stuff, or what they call the demons and all of the scary creatures that they talk about, you know. So the Kalipov is actually the feminine energy, and the quantum world is the masculine energy. Okay? Think of it that way. So the subconscious mind has been asleep and has been in the back burner, but we still have communication with that world on an unconscious level. So when you are trying to transform spiritually, and you're dealing with an ego that is physical, it is going to do everything in its power to keep you grounded in this physical matrix so you cannot progress to the next level because the ego does not like change. So if you are experiencing any forms of anxiety, depression, or any kind of emotions or fear or any kind of emotions that you cannot attribute to anything, then chances are, if you're doing, if you're just experiencing those emotions out of the blue and you're not doing any type of spiritual work, then yeah, them motherfuckers, they need to go see a doctor. Okay, they need to go see a doctor. But I'm talking about black occultists who are doing work for self transformation. If you are doing work for self transformation and you find that you are feeling, emotions of fear, anxiety, and all these other emotions, that's good. That's good, because that means you're doing something right. Because that is what has been happening to me. The more I communicate with my subconscious mind, the more the ego tries to fucking interfere. And see, what I learned too is the ego can interfere in your dream world as well. Oh, yeah, it can interfere in that world too, or what you call the astral, whichever one you want to call it. But it can have an interference in that too. But see, I can see past that because, again, I'm a master. I can see past that bullshit. Like the bullshit he tried to throw at me last night in my motherfucking dream. But this is why it's important to understand your dreams. But what I understood was my subconscious mind helped me to understand what I was really seeing. Because, see, if you don't have a good relationship with your subconscious mind, and the reason I'm talking about the subconscious mind in terms of having a good relationship with it as if it's a separate entity is because it really is at this point, because we've been disconnected from it for so long. So if you don't have a good relationship with that part of yourself, then what you see in your dreams will only confuse you and leave you in utter confusion and delusion, and you won't know what to do. For example, let me give you an example. I used to dream about rats, big rats, running through my home where I live at, my house. And you know, I hate rodents. So I'm always mopping, you know, ammonia keeps rodents away, keeps them away. I don't have any rodents or nothing like that. But I hate them. So I would dream about these big rats. But then when I decoded the dream, I found out that rats are symbolic of wealth and good fortune getting ready to come into your life. And right after I started having those dreams, that is when a lot of things on a wealth and a monetary level began to improve for me. You see what I'm saying? But if I didn't have a good relationship with my subconscious mind, then I would have just thought that that rat meant that somebody was after me, or somebody's doing this to me, or somebody's going to get me. Because, see, when you don't have the information, then that, if you don't have a good connection with your subconscious mind, then you are gullible to be taken in by people and by your own conscious mind. So if you don't have the information, then your conscious mind will come in and tell you, oh, that rat means that somebody's doing work on you. See, that's how the conscious mind works. That's why there's so many fucking crazy people, you know, now on YouTube and everywhere else thinking somebody doing something to them. No, it's your conscious mind doing it to you. That's what you have to get under control. And what it is that people are taking advantage of the fact that you don't have your conscious mind under control, that you don't have your mind in general under control, and they're taking advantage of that motherfucking shit. You see what I'm saying? Just like, let me give you an example. Just like there was a book that came out in the early 2000s by this man named J.L. something. I forgot his last name. He wrote a book about being on the DL. And if I'm not mistaken, I did not read the book, but I wouldn't read that shit anyway. But if I'm not mistaken, he was a man living on the DL at one time or something like that. I think was he married, or was he? I don't remember. But anyway, he was involved in homosexual activity, right? So he goes on to Oprah Winfrey, yeah, Oprah, of course, and he writes this book, and he talks about men on the DL, and the book was specifically targeted to convince black women that they needed to be wary of black men. Okay. That entire book that he wrote, number one, he was an agent. Because if you notice, you don't hear nothing about that motherfucker no more. He was an agent. That JL, I think his name was JL King, he was an agent. And he came out with that book. He cast that motherfucker. That was a spell. Now, that was a real motherfucking spell, or mind control, whatever you want to call it. That was a real motherfucking spell, because what he did was he created this fear in black women that they could not trust black men because black men were messing with other men behind their backs in large, overwhelming numbers, when we all know that, you know, there's really no way to really determine who's on the DL, because the term itself, DL, means on the down low, meaning people don't know. So this bitter queen, because that's what it all, you know, that's what it's all chopped up to. This bitter agent queen, J.L. King, he played on the black woman's vulnerability in the ego, in her ego, and in her conscious mind, because relationships at that time for black men and black women were not that great anyway in the early 2000s. Hell, relationships between me and black men at that time were not that great. Black people were, it was a lot of shit going on back then, a lot of mind control being implemented that I was even up under at that time, you know? But he wanted to paint this narrative that black women should be wary. He did make a statement on Oprah that white women should be worried too, but the main focus of that book was to attack the heterosexual black men, to say that black women should be suspicious of heterosexual black men. Let me tell you something. Most black men are straight, and I've said this before. It's bullshit to think that most black men are gay. Honey, if most black men were gay or on the DL, then my love life would be a lot motherfucking better. And so would a lot of other gay men, okay? Most black men are straight. Most black men are straight. That was a lie, and that was a spell that was perpetrated to take advantage of the vulnerability of the black woman's ego and the black woman's conscious mind. That was a direct attack on the black woman. And see, what he did was you and the black man too, and the heterosexual black man too. What he did was he lost my train of thought. But what he did was I know what I was going to say. What he did was he manifested off of the black woman's energy. That motherfucker don't care anything about no black women. He came on Oprah to make money off of that book. He don't care anything about black men messing around with black women he didn't care anything about that because he was an agent. He didn't care anything about that. He didn't care anything about it. He wrote that book for an agenda, and the agenda was to create more division among black men and black women, and it worked. And the point that I'm making is that that's all connected to the motherfucking ego. That's how the ego works. The ego works in the same exact way that that man operated in that entire scenario. That is how the ego works. It sets up scenarios. The ego sets up scenarios for people just like these motherfucking archons. The ego will set up scenarios to keep you locked down into a lower vibration because the ego is all about being grounded into the physical, and it doesn't want you to elevate or to expand your consciousness. So what it will do is it will create fear, it will create anxiety and depression, and it will create things that are already within you on an unconscious level. So what we have to do as occultists, we have to meditate, go into those places and figure out what we can do. Now, what I did was, I purposely started playing different songs that made me sad. There's a song by Patti LaBelle called If You Ask Me To. Celine Dion did a rendition of that as well. There's a song called If You Ask Me To. And that song makes me weep and cry so much, or it used to, but it still has an effect on me. And the reason that it has an effect on me is because at that time in 1989, when that song came out, that was a time in my life as a child where I went through a lot of great trauma. I will not get into it on here, but I went through a lot of trauma and a lot of heartache and a lot of pain. You know, that was a time of a lot of upheaval in my family. So that song, If You Ask Me To, was a symbol for pain for me. And see, one of the things that I have been dealing with my entire life is fear of abandonment. That's my personal demon, fear of abandonment. And see, I can say that now because I've somewhat conquered that demon. I still got some work to do. You know, when I say demon, I'm not talking about in the Christian text. I'm talking about my own demons that I created. But here's the motherfucking thing. And this is where it gets tricky. I created that reality. The trauma and everything that I went through. See, that's why people say nobody's innocent, not even children. I created that motherfucking trauma for myself back then through my own motherfucking unconscious mind. I just didn't know it. I just didn't know it. So as it began to play out, I didn't know it then. But the more I started to communicate with my subconscious mind, a lot of hard truths came through. And if you're not ready for the motherfucking truth, then you're not ready to become God. It's as simple as that. So one thing I learned from taking Panic's class was is that if you can have a symbol for pain, then you can create a symbol for happiness to counteract whatever your conscious mind, aka your ego, aka set, BKA, I guess you can call Satan in the Christian text, you know, whatever that entity is trying to throw at you, you're not in the same Christian text thing because it's all part of you. It's not separate from you, but I say it's a separate entity because we don't have any control over it the way that we should. So what I did was I said, okay, I'm gonna let myself feel these motherfucking emotions. And I'm going to let myself have a big, ugly Oprah motherfucking cry, okay? I'm going to scream, I'm going to holler, I'm going to let that shit out. And see, when you do stuff like that, that also helps to sort of stabilize and balance out your chakras when you let that stuff out. See, sometimes people just need to cry. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people just need to cry. Put down the food, put down the cookies, put down the ice cream, put down the motherfucking cheeseburgers, put down the motherfucking weed, put down the motherfucking liquor, and just cry. I'm mainly talking to black men because some of you niggas y'all just need to fucking cry because a lot of y'all niggas are in so much motherfucking pain. And this ain't no hate. I'm telling you this because it worked for me. If it doesn't work for you, then it just ain't for you. But once I started to cry and understand that I was still dealing with the fear of abandonment because of what I went through as a child, and that song, If You Ask Me To, was a symbol for that. Once I began to understand that, then I started to see a shift and change in my mood, my behavior, and my patterns. Okay? So your conscious mind is designed to come after you with everything that it has when you're trying to elevate to the next step. So, what I did was I said, okay, if that song by Patti LaBelle is a symbol to make me sad, that made if that's a symbol for trauma for me, then I'm going to go back and find symbols that made me happy when I was a child. So I started looking up movies that I liked when I was a child. One movie that I liked when I was a child was Annie, the original one. I don't like them garbage ass fucking remakes. I'm sorry, not even the black one. Sorry, I don't like them garbage remakes. And I also like The Incredible Shrinking Woman because at those times in my life, that is when I was the happiest as a child. When I used to look at those movies, or when I used to look at the Smurfs. See, that is all part of our science. That is how we heal as Black people. That's us. That's how we heal. Okay? And if nobody tells you that, if nobody's trying to give you that information, then they're really not trying to fucking heal you. See, it's not all about this. It ain't all about that. Sometimes it is, sometimes it ain't. But it's more so about you transforming your mind and how you think about stuff and how you view stuff and how much control you give your ego over you. And that includes myself. I'm a work in motherfucking progress, but I can see enough and I have enough confidence in myself because I feel as though I've been, reborn in a sense that I can see things for what they really are. And you don't have to live your life in pain and fear and all that bullshit. You don't have to live your life in that. You don't have to live your life according to somebody else's rules. You don't have to do that. Nobody has to do that, you know? But anyway, that's all I really have to say. I'll be back and I'll be talking about this a little bit more. But like I said, once again, if you want a spiritual consultation, don't come to me with no motherfucking nonsense. Okay? Don't come to me with no motherfucking nonsense. Come to me correct and come to me with the mindset that you want to be a God. Okay? That's the type of people that I want to talk to. I'm not interested in none of that other bullshit. Okay? So if you ain't coming to me on some real shit, I'm not fucking with you. As simple as that. I'm not looking for no followers. I'm not looking for no motherfucking friendships. I'm not looking for none of that bullshit. Okay? Anyway, that's all I really have to say. Thank you.